So I've been pondering this question and talking with friends about this question, and it's very difficult to arrive at any final conclusion. The question is, what does it mean to be enlightened? And pretty fundamental question, right? And the reason I struggle with it is because it's very easy to fall into the trap of assuming that enlightenment means transcendence from the world of impermanence. Um, and the problem with that is that it neglects the element of compassion. Because if you transcend the world, you have no ties, no connections to other beings which still exist in the world, and suffer in the world, because they are incomplete. We are all incomplete by virtue of the fact that we exist. If we were complete, we wouldn't even be able to move. We wouldn't be able to change, to become. We would be just static, crystalline statues that couldn't evolve, couldn't learn, and so forth. And when you think about, the joys of life, it's always assumed, I think, that life is a process of growth and development. And if enlightenment is transcendence, who wants that? Uh, I guess if you have an especially difficult life and your experience is more painful than it is blissful, then, maybe enlightenment as complete transcendence sounds good. But if you're like most people and, your life is kind of in between, you have your good moments and your bad moments, then enlightenment as, an exit from this world may not necessarily seem like a very desirable thing, or at least that's where I have arrived, but maybe that's not what enlightenment is about. Because when you factor in the element of compassion, I think you find that true enlightenment requires, at some level, a small degree of attachment, and attachment to the suffering of others. Buddha, when he sat under the Bodhi tree and realized enlightenment, was given an option. Either you transcend the world and enter nirvana now, or you return to the world as a bodhisattva and share your unending compassion with other beings in the hopes that you may ease their suffering. And I think that is the higher path. And it requires giving up nirvana, at least for a time, because to be compassionate, to help others, you must, in a sense, take on their karma. And, anyone that exists as a human body in this world has not attained enlightenment. And I mean that in the sense of some ultimate category of transcendence. There certainly seems to be a spectrum of realization, but everyone is human. And by virtue of being human, we have hang-ups and emotions and attachments, and it's a matter of what we are attached to. If we are attached to the idea of relinquishing the suffering of others, that's not such a bad thing then, is it? Now, of course, we have to ourselves have reached a certain level of realization that in attempting to ease the suffering of others, we do not unintentionally bring more suffering upon them, because it's very easy to project one's own psychological hang-ups onto others and just get, with the best intentions, get them wrapped up in what actually are our problems. So it's very difficult, it's very confusing to understand what to do. And, I've arrived at the conclusion that the fundamental basis of everything, if there is one, is love and compassion for others. But I also recognize that the human psyche all too often easily deceives itself. There is an unconscious, and because there is an unconscious, life is constantly surprising us. And I think it's a mistake, therefore, to assume that enlightenment is somehow gaining control over life or mastery over life. Because isn't that just another form of dualism, separating yourself from it as though you were above it? And this is something that I think about on a daily basis, because I value the relationships I have with others, and at the same time I know that they are a form of attachment. And I've been very influenced by Buddhism, obviously, and the Buddha has said, or at least it has been written that the Buddha has said that attachments are bad. And I guess, in a way, you could work this out such that your compassion for others is really, it's a non-dual type of compassion, because you see that all beings, all sentient beings, are really one. And so in showing compassion for another, you're really just, looking out for yourself at the most fundamental level. But I'm curious to see how others work out this problem, if it is a problem at all. So let me know.